So, the book is Skeletal Wisdom is an attempt to explain Feldenkrais, which is like explaining color to a blind man. It's easily said than done, more easily said than done. So today, instead of a verbal explanation, you're going to have an experience of Feldenkrais. So would you please lie on your back? Feldenkrais deals with a specific kind of learning, neuromotor learning, where improved sensation improves your movement. So we start by tuning ourselves, just as a musician tunes their instrument. But we have a funny way of doing that at the beginning of a lesson called a body scan. So we actually go into detail about our contact with the floor. And one convenient mode of doing that is to simply compare left and right. So, are your two heels touching the floor the same way? Well, of course, they're both lying on the floor. Yeah, but the exact point of contact. If one foot is turned out to the side more than the other, then that heel will be lying more on its side, a little bit more on its side than on its back. Can you? Very few of us are symmetrical. Yeah, some people are looking up. Now, of course, don't cheat, don't look, feel. That's the whole point. It's an inner proprioceptive experience. Some people's toes are pointing like down, like not down towards the floor, but down towards underneath you. In other words, pointing towards me more, and some people's toes are pointing more towards the ceiling. That would again make the heel lie more on its back rather than on its underside. So what differences can you feel between the two heels? How far apart are your feet? It's kind of average to lie with the feet shoulder width apart. Some people have your feet closer together. Some people have the feet farther apart. How is it for you? If your feet are closer than shoulder width, would you please spread them a little until they're, because you feel if your heels are only 10 centimeters apart, there's actually tension in the thighs holding them there. So if the heels are more like 20 to 30, 40 centimeters apart, there's less tension in the thighs. So try making that adjustment and see if you feel a difference in the legs. And if one foot is indeed turned out more than the other, does that mean the whole leg is sort of rolled out to the side more than the other one? What are the differences between the two legs? A strange business, this Feldenkrais. Just going inside and sensing differences which we normally would never attend to. But that's going to be the basis for the learning. That's going to offer the brain new ways of changing how you do what you do. The pelvis is this big bone. It's lying on the floor. It's probably, you've got almost more firm contact there than anywhere. But is it really dead center? Could you perceive is maybe one hip joint a little closer to the floor than the other hip joint? Is the pelvis angled a little to the left, a little to the right? How does it lie? And above the pelvis begins the spine, the 5 lumbar vertebrae, which don't have ribs. They're just big vertebrae supporting the whole torso and head. And then the 12 thoracic vertebrae, which have ribs. Then the 7 cervical vertebrae, the neck, which don't have ribs. So how many of those lower vertebrae are off the floor? Normally there's a space there. Feldenkrais used to say, is there space for an ant to crawl through there, or a cockroach, or a little mouse? Hopefully not a rat. And but if you follow, can you imagine can you direct your sensation, your actual perception of the senses? Imagine just try to feel your own L5. This is the first lumbar vertebra above the pelvis. And maybe you'll fail totally. Make the effort anyway. Then the next one. And how big is it? And then the next one. Mostly we have no sensation of that part of our back, but if you try, you actually activate a sensing mechanism in yourself. And the L2, and then L1, the fifths from the bottom. Now and then maybe the first thoracic vertebra, the one with a little tiny rib attached to it, a floating rib. And the next one. How far do you have to go before, oh, this one's touching the floor? And the next one. T10 and T9. And eventually, of course, there is one that touches the floor. So does that change as you breathe in and out? The first point of contact after that space in the lower part of the back. And then if you keep going, does the contact get firmer? And T7 and T6, going higher, getting up in between the shoulder blades, is the contact. Is there one vertebra up there, T5 maybe, I don't know, that's like pressing into the floor more than any of the others? Or is it all kind of spread out and diffuse and amorphous and hard to feel? Can you even feel the difference between your vertebrae that constitute the spine and the ribs on either side? Or is it all just like this, pressing the floor? Sound effects, another important part of Feldenkrais pedagogy. So yeah, how about those ribs? Do the ribs on one side touch more firmly than on the other side? Is there a clearer imprint on the left or on the right? Does that change as you breathe in? Some people, when they breathe in, the effort to breathe in actually pulls the ribs away from the floor. And when they breathe out, the ribs sort of settle back down to the floor. Other people, it's the opposite. They breathe in and the rib cage expands in every direction so that the in-breath puts the ribs in better contact with the floor and the out-breath kind of pulls them away from the floor a little bit. How is it for you? And the shoulder blades, those famous shoulder blades, the bane of any musician. We hold all our tension there. How are they touching the floor? In some of these lessons, I felt my shoulder blades are so far to the side that they're not even touching the floor, but how is it for you? Is there any point of contact, that inner edge of the shoulder blade and the floor? And can you feel like the length of that edge? And is one of them clearer than the other? And by the way, do your arms feel like they're the same length? And if not, is the longer arm the one with a clearer contact in the shoulder blade, or is it the other arm that has a clearer contact? Does the head lie dead center, or is it a tiny bit to the right of the center or the left of the center? If you drew a midline that went down from your forehead, down through your nose, and in your mouth and your chin, would that line point straight down to between your legs exactly? Or would it point a little bit more to your left foot or a little bit more to the right foot? Try and get a sense of the entire midline now. How much of you is on the right? How much of you is on the left? I know a guy whose heart is on the right side of his body. So he has a very interesting time with these lessons because he always feels different. So, take a picture of all this. Do you notice that just from trying to sense, from attending to these details, that your contact has shifted? You didn't do anything, but the contact is not the same as it was 5 minutes ago. This is the work of the sensory motor feedback loop. The sensory nerves send information to the brain. Based on that picture which is created, the brain decides how to move the muscles. So when you enrich the sensory picture, maybe some of your muscles got a little looser in order to better feel those bones. Because if muscles are tight, you can't feel the contact of the bone. But if the muscle kind of lets go, then, oh, there's that bone in better contact with the floor. So that may have happened just now. It's a part of the neuromotor learning. That's the trademark, the hallmark of Feldenkrais. So remember all this, take a snapshot of yourself in your mind, and we'll come back to this through the lesson to see whether this changes. So would you please now lie on your left side. And here's another little vignette, just so that you get an idea of how the brain is working, how most of our brains is, remember they used to say 90%, we don't know what 90% of the brain does, and now they figured out that it's managing movement. Now, would you please lie with your legs relatively long and notice how you breathe. Just don't change your breathing, just observe the in-breath and the out-breath, and observe how deep or how shallow it is, how much it goes to the abdomen, or how much it's more up in the chest, left or right. And now look, if you drew your knees up, don't do it yet, but if you drew your knees up, logic says that the breath would become more shallow, right? Because you're going to draw your knees up, and that scrunches your abdomen. It makes less space in your abdomen, so the breath won't be so deep. Now, draw your knees up and see if that's true. See if that's so. Draw your knees up a little more. Make it like you're sitting in a chair. So arrange your legs in a series of 90-degree angles. That's right. Now, I want a show of hands. How many people did the breathing indeed get shallow? This is great. It's a good group. Nobody put their hand up. How many people did the breathing get deep? Show your hands, please. Yeah. Well, some people are undecided. Maybe some people didn't understand it. So, but isn't that weird? Why would it get deeper? Because your brain is managing movement, and when you lie with your legs long, your brain knows that you could roll forward or back. Lie with your legs long again. And you see, the brain knows. And now, those muscles around the abdomen are stabilizing you. Now, bend your knees again, draw your knees up. And now, the bones took over the work of the muscles. Now the legs are a stabilizer. There's no need for those abdominal muscles to work, and they let go, and the breath gets deeper. So, please bend your knees, make your, like that. Okay. So isn't that interesting? None of you thought, oh, I'm lying with my legs long. I better stabilize my body with my abdominal muscles. And none of you thought, oh, the legs are doing, they're like pontoons, they're stabilizing me. I can let go. That happened. The brain, the motor cortex, is making hundreds of decisions like that every moment of our lives. Now, this lesson is going to come into that process and try to evoke change. That's why we say that Feldenkrais is neurological and it's learning. It's creating new patterns in the brain. Would you please stretch your arms out in front of you, put the right hand on the left hand so the palms are kind of as if you wanted to applaud. So put the right palm on the left palm. Yeah? And now, very gently, Very gently, leaving your right hand heavy, begin to slide it away from you. Slide it out on the floor, leaving it heavy. So slide it away from you. So you slide the hand farther away from you. That's right. And then come back. So try to leave the hands very heavy, both hands. So, and then come back. So it's, I have to go away from the microphone for a minute. Some people don't get it. So, as if you wanted to reach something that's a little bit farther away from you. So it's interesting. Where is the muscular effort for that? Yeah. Is it in the hands? I said slide the hand, but does the hand make the effort to slide out onto the floor? Or is it in the forearm? Or is it in the elbow? Is it in the upper arm? Don't do it so fast. If you do it 10 times slower, you'll feel 10 times more. So we all know it's around the shoulder area. It's somewhere in the shoulder girdle, maybe even the shoulder blade. Maybe even the ribs around the armpit. So slide the hand out as if you're reaching. You want to put your right hand on the floor, out in front of you, farther away from you. And then come back. And if you do it like, first time you slide 1 centimeter, and then the next time you slide 2 centimeters, and the next time you slide 3 centimeters and come back. It's so interesting. And if you stop in between each slide and let the muscles really stop, you'll see, oh my God, I tend to do this simple movement with residual effort, like it's building up. No, slide and stop and let it go. And then the next time you slide, you'll feel better how the muscles start up. You'll start to feel that all around the shoulder girdle and all through that upper right part of your torso, before the movement even starts, like muscles begin to engage and they prepare, and this one engages, and that one, it's a whole sequence. It's a chaining sequence of muscles that get you ready to slide, and then finally the actual slide happens. And then you stop. And when you're going to pull back to get yourself back to neutral, can you feel the chain of events, the chain of muscular engagements that precede the actual moving back? That's it. And to what degree, please leave your hands heavy. So the left hand should be lying on the floor, and the right hand lying heavy. This movement has certain constraints. One is that the right fingers stay long and the left fingers stay long, which is naturally they wouldn't be so flat. So we actually make them a little flatter than they would be if they were totally at rest. That's a constraint, but it makes the movement more clear. So how much does the shoulder individuate from the torso, and how much does the torso roll forwards to get your hand farther away from you on the floor? I don't know the answer, and there's no right or wrong. It's possible for the torso to do very little and the shoulder blade to slide on the ribs. It's possible for the torso to roll forward and the left ribs to relax so much that the hand slides quite far with virtually no sliding of the shoulder blade, the right shoulder blade on the right ribs. There's many different ways of doing it. But I think you all need a rest. So please roll onto your back, lie on your back, take a rest. And now, for the first time, some of you will feel the difference between your left and your right shoulders. Well, look at here. that right shoulder done got better contact with the flow. What's going on? How did that happen? I didn't do anything, hardly. Yeah, but you see, what do we say, that brain, that it's making changes all the time outside of our awareness. We didn't tell our shoulder muscles, relax, relax. I want my shoulder blade to have better contact with the flow. No. But your motor cortex is like just went to town. And because you attended to those details of the sequencing, of the preparation, of how that movement develops like a wave headed towards the beach but did not yet crashing, then that's all rich learning food for the motor cortex. Your shoulder will know how to move more freely. It will know how to participate in all the actions of playing, even of singing, after this lesson. Would you please lie on your left side again, same side, same position, bend the knees, stretch the arms out in front of you, and this time slide the hand towards yourself. So your right palm is kind of going to start sliding up along the left forearm. And now again, keep the right fingers flat, and also do not bend the right elbow. So that's a new constraint. You can slide the hand, and again, go very slowly and try like a millimeter, and then try a centimeter, and stop, and really stop, and then try going back and stop. The more often you stop, the more often the motor cortex resets the muscles, and each time it discovers a new neutral point, a new starting point. And that this repeated newness gives the brain many, many, many more options as to how each muscle participates in even a simple movement. So you slide a little, and then you stop and you rest, and you slide a little, and you stop and you rest. Always the right hand caressing the left forearm. And eventually coming back to until the right palm is again on the left palm. Some of you have your hands on the right hand on the floor instead of on your arm. It's also a possibility, but it is different. It's leaving the hand on the arm. It actually offers it an axis of direction, trajectory, which is actually another constraint, I guess. But it clarifies something about the activity up there in the shoulder. So for instance, if you slid your hand up, your right hand sort of sliding up along the left forearm, the right hand heading towards the left elbow, and allow the right elbow to bend. Allow the right elbow to bend, that's right. And you see what happens in the shoulder, and go back. Return to the neutral point, the starting point. Return, and you see, when you bend your elbow, I'll tell you what happens in the shoulder. We Canadians have an expression for that. It's called doodly squat. It means zippo, bippo, nothing ain't going on in the shoulder. But if you leave the elbow straight and engage that constraint, the shoulder starts to slide, the shoulder blade starts to slide on the rib cage, and you feel that right shoulder comports itself completely differently. It's learning how to be both more independent and more interdependent. It's getting freer from the rib cage, but it's also learning better how to cooperate with that rib cage. And now when you slide the hand a little bit up towards the elbow, and now when it's coming back to the neutral point, please keep going and combine the very first movement we did with this second movement. So you slide the hand a little bit towards the left elbow, then you slide the hand back till the right palm's lying on the left palm, and you keep going out onto the floor. And wonder of wonders, did you notice from doing the second movement, sliding the right hand along the left forearm, now it goes further out onto the floor without any increase in effort? Did you find that there's a way of actually decreasing the effort to get your right hand farther out on the floor in front of you? And it's a movement of the right hand. It's not up and down in relation to the room, and it's not up and down in relation to yourself, like in the direction of your head and in the direction of your feet. It's just going straight out in front of you. So towards the side wall. The hands going towards the side wall and coming back from the side. That's it. Great. Come back to the neutral point. Stay there on your side. And I often teach this lesson as a first Feldenkrais lesson. And almost universally, I forget the beginning of the lesson, and I did that again today. There's a reference move, and we're supposed to do the reference move and then see how much the reference move improves as we go through all these variations. But I don't know, I forgot the reference move again. So here's the reference move. Pretend that you didn't just do the last 10 minutes of work. And move your right arm in a big arc up towards the ceiling, and then keep going, not so fast. Keep going and see how far it goes behind you. So of course, and go as far behind you as you can, but comfortably, don't strain. And see, and come back, that's it. And come back, and do that a couple of times. And you'll see there's a certain range which is comfortable, but virtually nobody is touching the floor. Because a couple of us are really good, maybe they can already touch the floor. A couple of us maybe already benefited from the work we did just now, and so it's closer to the floor, but most of you are not. So we still have a chance to see the improvement that's going to happen. Good. Come back, and this time do the reference move, but watch your hand with your eyes and your head. Oh my God, that already made a difference. Look at that. Yeah, how about that? Well, the brain is very smart, and the brain has information to which we are not privy, but the brain knows the head is attached to the torso. And if you move your head and your eyes to watch your hand, it allows you to turn further. But it's amazing. None of us did it until I told you. Now, why is that? So you see, it was not a structural limitation that's prevented your hand from going to the floor. It was a functional limitation. So we're offering the brain an impression of improved skeletal mechanics, how each lever in the entire skeletal chain can work better in relation to its neighbor. So this time when you try and put your arm behind you, and look at your hand, go behind you, and then of course, since you're already almost lying on your back, you might as well lie on your back and take another rest. So once, just come back and take a rest. So nice. And now, notice the increased and amplified and enhanced differences between the left and the right shoulder. Which shoulder is closer to the floor? And again, there's no right or wrong. Some shoulders, this right shoulder that's doing all this strange stuff, it might get puffed up and kind of inflated and almost like farther away from the floor. Others are just like dissolved, completely melting into the floor. Some shoulder blades get closer to the spine. Some shoulder blades get further away from the spine. Which shoulder blade is farther away from the spine now? Can you sense there's a difference in the space between shoulder blade and spine? on the left and right sides? Does one arm feel longer than the other? Is your head lying differently? You remember, was it a little left or right at the beginning? Has that shifted? And even that space between the lower back and the floor. Now, we didn't do anything even remotely close to the lower back, but has that space gotten bigger or smaller? What's changed down there? So you see, this local movement that we're doing has global implications, and the motor cortex is making changes in muscles very far from our local point of focus. Again, to facilitate this reference move getting better and better, please come back on the same side. Bend your knees. Put your hands straight, just like before, the same starting movement. Yeah. Would you please do the reference move, but stop. So the big arc, but stop when your hand is vertical. Stop when your arm is vertical. So now your hand is pointing towards the ceiling. And do you feel that if you just kept your arm vertical, like a telephone pole, could you somehow get your shoulder blade, your right shoulder blade, a little closer to the floor? So the entire telephone pole goes down, but it stays vertical. It stays vertical, and roll back a little bit to help that. Let your torso roll back. That's it. And then you'll feel at a certain point, the shoulder, yeah, there you go. I'm talking to specific people, some of you got it. So the shoulder blade starts to get closer to the spine. The shoulder blade starts to get closer to the floor. And then, of course, reach up towards the ceiling, and the shoulder blade gets farther away from the spine. And the shoulder blade gets farther away from the floor, and the body rolls forward. Yeah, so as the hand goes to the ceiling, roll the body forward. And as the arm stays vertical, but the hand gets closer to the floor, the elbow stays straight, the shoulder blade gets closer to the floor, the body rolls back. That's it. And you feel there's developing more mobility. Keep going, changing the direction. That's it. Reach up towards the ceiling and let the shoulder blade get towards the floor. And then that's it. And you're developing more mobility. Don't let your head come off the floor. Leave the head loose. Leave the head. If you let your head be loose, let your head be heavy. Just imagine that your head is full of rocks. Of course, we know that's not true, or we think it's not true. But let it be heavy. The head weighs 10 kilograms, come on. So let it be heavy, and the whole shoulder will transform. The effort in the head to follow the hand up, that's blocking the movement. Let the head be heavy. And feel how much further the shoulder blade can go up towards the ceiling, and how much further the shoulder blade can. Some shoulder blades almost touch the spine in this movement. And now, when the shoulder blade is really, really down towards the floor, and you're kind of already rolled backwards, roll a little bit further backwards and actually put the shoulder on the floor and put that arm on the floor behind you. There you go. But not above your head, to the side, towards the side wall, towards the side wall. That's it. Oh my goodness, everybody put their arm on the floor. Look to the left. Look to the right, look to the right, look to the right. And now, eyes and head and hand together in a big arc. Come up and come back to the starting position. And feel how you do it. Which muscles are doing it now? Is it shoulder muscles? Is it arm muscles? Is it rib muscles? Is it spine muscles? Is it pelvis muscles? That's it. And put the right hand on the left palm. Right palm and left palm, take a rest. Stay there on your side. Let your left palm be heavy. Let your left hand lie on the floor. That's it. Stay there. And would you please, instead of sliding your hand away from you on the floor like we did the first time, slide your knee a little bit forward, the right knee. That's it, just a little bit. And now slide the right knee a little back. Oh my goodness, it's the same movement of the spine, but it's from the other end. And you see, if you slide the knee, how much easier it is to slide the hand. That's it. So now add the hand slide. That's right. Good. Yeah, you need to draw your knees up closer to your head. That's it. You see, that's a little change, and it allows the hand to slide even nicer. That's it. Good. This time, would you slide your hand out in front of you on the floor and leave it there? So roll forward, let the ribs relax, let your torso melt forward till your right hand is farther out in front of you. That's it. It may be even almost past your left fingers. And then stay on the floor there. And now, stay there. And would you please don't curl your second finger, your index finger, but press the index finger into the floor. Just press the floor gently with the pad of the index finger, and then stop pressing. And then press the second finger into the floor, and then stop pressing. Don't lift it. Just when you stop pressing, just leave it neutral. And now, feel where the muscular effort for that one comes from. Can you feel? It's the finger pressing into the floor, and then it's stopping. It's kind of press and stop and pulsing. Yeah? But look, where's the effort? Is it in the forearm? Is it in the elbow? Is it in the upper arm? Is it in the shoulder area? That's it. It's way back in the shoulder. Some people can feel it even around the shoulder blade or the collarbone. It's different for different people, but it's all happening way up there. Now, do the same thing with your pinky, your little finger, the fifth finger, fourth finger for violinists, but fifth finger for pianists. So don't lift it, just press it and stop pressing. The lifting is another thing. And you notice that actually you can feel that there's muscular activity all around the shoulder girdle area, but it's slightly different. It's not the same. So try the fifth finger a few times, and then try the second finger a few times, and see. It's almost the same muscles, but not precisely. And try the thumb. Press the thumb into the floor and then stop. Press the thumb and then stop. Oh my goodness, it's different muscles again. It's almost as if the thumb activates muscles higher up the shoulder blade, and the fifth finger activates muscles lower down the shoulder blade. And does each of the 5 fingers activate muscles in a slightly different location in and around the shoulder? So peculiar. But this is a revelation. We pianists, we think we keep doing it. We think we play the piano with our fingers. Of course, the arms are moving the fingers around the keyboard, but we don't realize the actual muscular activity to move a finger it's not just a nice idea or a metaphor, it's fact. The muscular activity to move a finger comes from the core. And now you can feel that. Some people feel it in the collarbone, like the thumb is closer to the middle part of the collarbone and the fifth finger is closer to the outer part of the collarbone. Different people have different focuses. How is it for you? Great. And now, having done this pulsing finger individuation exploration a little bit, try the sliding the hand movement and see how far the hand slides. Again, without bending the elbow, but slide the hand as far up towards yourself as you can and as far away on the floor. And oh, look at that. The hand went farther onto the floor than ever before. And the hand even gets farther up the forearm, the left forearm, than ever before. Not so fast. dancers. They just don't know how to slow down. Yeah, I think we're ready for a rest. Would you please lie on your back and take a rest? So, the difference between your left and right sides, is it starting to be more global? Is it starting to, well, the shoulders, certainly, there's a big difference there. Imagine all the changes in latent muscular tonus that the brain did, again, without your command. You did not tell all those shoulder muscles, oh, just change. I don't even know whether it's closer to the floor or puffed up or wider or heavier or lighter or warmer. All those changes, the motor cortex is making it happen so that, because these movements evoke neurological curiosity. And is it not just the shoulder? Is it not just the arm? Is it all the right ribs? Is it the right hip joint? Is it the entire right side from top to bottom? We're beginning to get a nice good news and bad news situation. The good news is you could be like the way your right side is now. Bad news is up until now you've been the way your left side is. Have fun with that. Are we ready to try the other side and get a little bit of equality going on in the personal corporeal homeostasis department? Please roll onto your right side. Put your left hand on your right palm, bend your knees. Really have the knees pointing towards the side wall if you can. And now, would you please do not do the reference move. It's like, don't think of pink elephants. Do not do the reference move. But what I mean is, do the reference move in your imagination. So really just lie there, don't move. But in your mind, you close your eyes and imagine that your left hand is coming up towards the ceiling in a big arc and then going around behind you. And imagine, now it's very interesting. Like, if I'm imagining this, I could do anything I want. I could make my left arm go around behind me and hit the floor and keep going through the floor, like down into the ground. But is the imagination actually limited by the perceived structural, functional state in which I find myself at this moment in time? So is the imagined big arc reference move informed by what we did on the right side and transferred over? Or is it just like, oh, my left side hasn't done any of this stuff, so it can't go very far because it doesn't know how yet? There's many possibilities. How is it for you? And then imagine, come back in your imagination. Put the left palm on the right palm. Imagine that you're sliding your left hand away from you. Little by little, like do it 1 millimeter at a time and stop, and do it 1 millimeter at a time. And imagine that the hand is getting away from you towards the side wall, staying heavy. Imagine it. And keep doing this as I'm talking. When we imagine stuff like this, the brain actually does 80% of what it would do if you are actually moving. Because when we watch somebody else do something, our brain does 80% of what that person's brain is doing. It's called mirror neurons, so that you can activate your own mirror neurons by imagining this. Imagine yourself, your left hand out on the floor there, and just staying there for a while and pulsing the second finger, pressing the second finger into the floor without bending it. Leave your hands heavy. That's in real life, leave your hands heavy. That's it. And pulse the fifth finger into the floor in your imagination. And feel where the activity is in your imagination, in and around the shoulder area. And in your imagination, feel how the activity in the shoulder changes when it's the thumb pulsing the floor, pressing into the floor. This is so much fun. The only thing is I'm jealous because I wish I was out there with you doing the lesson. The amazing sacrifice of a Feldenkrais practitioner. It's so delicious. And imagine that you're sliding the hand back towards yourself, and that you're sliding the hand, left hand along the right forearm. And imagine all the stuff the body does to help that, but do not, under any cases, bend your elbow in your imagination. Das ist verboten. Great. So I personally hate this imagination stuff because I find it very difficult. But some people just love it. So how was it for you? And now, in reality, do the reference move. Move your left hand up in a big arc towards the ceiling, and maybe even watch it because you know about that part, and keep going behind you. Don't force it, but see how far does it go comfortably, easily. How about that? So can you feel the work in the imagination actually did something? Isn't it extraordinary? Well, that's just one indication of how amazing the human brain can be when given the opportunity. That's right. Come back. Amazing. Would you please put the left palm on the right palm, the starting position, and slide the left hand, in reality, up along the right forearm as far as you can without bending your left elbow. And then, when you can't go any farther without bending the elbow, this time, now, bend the elbow. Only when you absolutely have to. And then continue, so now the left hand can get past the right. Keep the left hand snug on the arm. No, the left palm on the arm, not in the air. It's totally different when the left palm stays snug on the body. And the left palm can now, because the elbow bends, get past the right elbow. It can slide along the upper arm. It can even get to the right shoulder and then slide back down. That's right. So now, and you always get that elbow straight again as soon as you can. And of course, this again, don't tense the hands, leave them loose. Allows the left hand to slide further onto the floor. When you go back there. And so the entire range of the left hand movement is getting longer and longer. So slide the left hand towards yourself. Don't bend the elbow, don't bend the elbow. Oh, all right. Bend the elbow. Left hand along the upper right arm until it gets to the right shoulder. Keep the palm snug, keep the palm snug. Can you go past the right shoulder, across your own upper chest, till the left hand is on the left shoulder? Oh my goodness. Now when the left hand is on the left shoulder, is the elbow heavy? Could the elbow just go ploop, ploop, ploop? Oh my God. If the elbow got on the floor, then you, of course, unbend the elbow and put the, we have another way. Now bend the elbow again and slide the left hand along from the left shoulder, across the upper body to the right shoulder. Yeah, Normally you keep the finger straight, but if somehow your finger gets inside your shirt, then maybe you would reserve that movement for your boyfriend or your girlfriend. So then I give you permission to bend your fingers or somehow get your fingers out of your own shirt. I mean, what are we running here? This is a family show. All right. That's it. This time when you get your left arm on the floor behind you and unbend the elbow, then just leave it there and lie on your back and take a rest. And notice how did the left side get nice quicker than the right side? Because there's this wonderful little switching board in the brain, right in the center, deep down towards the brainstem, called the corpus callosum. And it's busy transferring information. For the whole first part of the lesson, it was busy transferring that information over to the other side. So this side learned quicker. But you see, the learning is so unusual. It's not like, oh, I learned how to slide my hand across myself to put it on the floor behind me. No, it learned a myriad number of ways of improving how we do it by lowering muscular tonus to increase the sense of skeletal leverage. The bones take over the work of the muscles. So of course, the muscles are still working, but how do they work? We're not making stronger muscles, we're making more intelligent muscles. Now certain muscles will get stronger because it's not just about letting go muscles. Some muscles got activated for you to do the movement like that. And they just change. It's this wonderful sequential combination of muscular engagements. It's the cooperation between all the parts which makes the actions of the whole greater than the sum of the parts. The improvements in the actions, I should say. So, would you please again lie on your right side, bend your knees, put your hands for applauding. Your arms straight. Let's do the telephone pole one, okay? On this side. So do an arc, but stop when the arm is vertical and see how much you can let go of the left shoulder blade. So the arm stays vertical, but the shoulder blade gets closer to the floor behind you. Of course, when that shoulder, when it lets go like that, the shoulder blade also gets closer to the spine. So if you keep the arm dead vertical, like as if somebody was holding your hand and keeping it vertical, the shoulder blade will figure out better how to do this. This is a very weird movement of individuation. That's it. So that's it. The arm, so reach the hand towards the ceiling, and the shoulder blade comes away from the floor, also away from the spine. And then let the hand go down towards the floor, but leave the arm vertical. And then the shoulder blade goes, whoa. And you'll notice, if you manage not to bend your elbow in this one, so the lady in the white shirt at the back there, roll backwards. Roll backwards a little more, but keep your arm vertical. That's all. You see, the arm needs to differentiate from the torso. There. You feel that difference? And now let the shoulder blade go. Let gravity help you. Yes, yes. You see, gravity is doing way more than the muscles. That's it. Your arm is quite heavy, so if you leave it vertical and let gravity pull your arm towards the floor, the shoulder blade will let go unbelievably. In fact, you could roll back a little bit and put your shoulder blade on the floor like that. Yeah, just roll back more. Roll back more. Don't bend the elbow. That's it. Roll back more until the shoulder blade hits the floor. And now put your arm on the floor behind you. Okay? Now stay there. No, I want the shoulder blade on the floor before the arm goes on the floor. Anyway, stay there with the arm behind you on the floor. Everybody? Yeah. And now, bend the left elbow, put the left hand on the left shoulder, slide the hand across to the right. And come back to the, oh look, we came back to the starting position using a different method. That's right. So you see, we now have 3 ways of putting the arm on the floor behind us. We could slide the hand, the left hand, up the right forearm and bend the elbow and slide and slide and slide till the right hand gets to the left, till the left hand gets to the right shoulder. Pardon my dyslexia. And slide, slide, slide until the left elbow hits the floor behind you, and then bam. And then straighten the arm. Stay there. And now do the reference movement. Come back to the, do it. No, the reference movement. A big arc. No. Yeah, big arc, big arc, big arc. Not even the weird telephone pole one. Just the first reference movement. And come back to the front. You see? So there's no law that says if you slide your hand to get behind you, you have to slide your hand to come back. There's no law that says if you do the reference move to get the arm on the floor behind you, you have to get the arm on the floor in front of you with the same reference move. You can mix it up. So now I leave you free time to play. There's 3 ways of putting the arm on the floor behind you. The reference move, the big arc. The modified reference move where you make your arm into a telephone pole and put the shoulder blade on the floor with a telephone pole arm and then just put the rest of the arm on the floor. Or the sliding one. So, but now, whichever one you use to get the arm on the floor, you use a different one to get back. That's it. It's amazing to see the change in the quality of movement from the beginning of the lesson until now. And one time, so everybody get the left arm on the floor behind you and stay there for a second, however you like. And once you're there with 2 arms on the floor, just stay there, stay there, stay there. Leave your legs where they are. Leave the arms there, please. Don't come up. Stay and look from one hand to the other, very gently. No, slowly, slowly, slowly. Roll the head very slowly to look at the other hand. Leave the hands down, leave the hands down. And just roll the head slowly and feel each vertebra in your neck and each vertebra in the upper back turning to help you look from one hand to the other. And the more you do this slowly and deliciously, the more all sorts of muscles all through the upper back let go, because your motor cortex is right in there working for you, changing all your muscles to allow this movement to happen in the most beautifully organized way possible. Just feel how that let go radiates, ripples down from the top of the rib cage into the middle part of the rib cage. And don't force anything. And then let it all go, lie on your back, take a rest. So you'll have a recording of this lesson. And some parts of the lesson I kind of sped up because I wanted to do a certain number of variations, but of course you're free to press pause. It's a wonderful thing about having a recording. You can just press the pause button whenever you like and explore any one of these movements in greater detail. But you see, it's not just doing the movement, it's how you do the movement. It's this slower, smaller, less effort to better evoke this amazing process called kinesthetic learning. sensory motor improvement. So notice cumulatively now all the changes that took place in your contact with the floor. Can you remember way back to the beginning of the lesson? Oh my goodness. How many parts of you are in contact with the floor in a new way? Isn't that delicious? And of course, there's always this conundrum, this intriguing problem. Yeah, okay, this is wonderful. When you're going to stand up now, you're going to feel very different in your standing. But how do I ride a bike differently? How do I play tennis differently? How do I play my instrument differently? How can I apply this? So there's this integration of these changes into our daily activities, which is always a curious challenge. And we'll explore how to do this throughout much of the rest of this day, actually, with various musical ensembles and individual music lessons. And you're always free to ask questions, to share with me your impressions, your observations, your experiences. And now, when you're ready, roll by way of the side and come to stand. Really go to the side, bend your knees. Yeah, that's it. So in other words, use your skeleton to come to stand. Don't use a lot of muscular stress. So come up to standing in the same spirit with which we did this lesson. There's a way of spiraling up, which of course that's another lesson, but you can sort of improvise some sort of intuitive version of spiraling up. Now, when you're standing, notice the difference in the way you stand. Are you taller? Some people get taller and lighter, so other people get more compact, like more solid, more in touch with the ground. That's the impression of the skeleton. Is the weight of your body distributed differently on your feet? Are you more on the heels than usual, or are you more on the balls of the feet or the toes of the feet? Is there something different about the contact of the feet with the ground? Is your pelvis a little bit further back in space or a little bit forward in space compared to usual? In other words, do you feel a little bit more like a monkey or a little bit more like a ballet dancer? Is there some sort of change there? If you're usually like totally open like a ballet dancer, maybe now you feel more like a monkey, because this is the adjustment your brain made to let the skeleton, the bones, do more of the work and take the stress of standing off of the muscles. Other people, if they're used to being kind of slouched, like most of our children, then they might feel more like a ballet dancer, because again, the skeleton has taken over the work of the muscles. Walk around a little bit and see if this change, this neuromotor change in yourself affects the way you walk. And please feel free to share your impressions, your observations, your questions, your complaints. Walk with sensitivity yourself, but perhaps try not to be a total zombie. Better balance? Worse balance. Yeah, take it slow. This is very discombobulating. Everything's different. Your normal mode of balance, which is kind of hold yourself up, that's been disconnected. And now it's like the bones are holding you up because the muscles just decided, I want a holiday. But the bones don't know how to do that, and the muscles need to relearn everything. So this moment, this is still a part of the lesson. This is the moment of integration. So it's very good that you notice that. Yeah, so let that, stay with this. Don't try to go back to your old way of balance. Stay with this and see, oh, can my bones actually inform how I balance myself? Because they will do a better job. So if you let this learning process continue, you'll actually end up with better balance. Because it's less held and more responsive to every subtle change in your equilibrium. Much more grounded. You have new feet. New feet. Amazing. Yeah. And it's very peculiar because we did not address the feet at all. But you see the neuromotor changes, they rippled all the way through the system. And so even the feet respond to this new organization of all the muscular states, the muscle tonuses. Your lower back pains are gone. Thank you. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. It's like moonwalking. That's right. Great. That's right. Michael Jackson would be proud. You've never felt it before?
No, I mean Michael Jackson never felt proud.
Aha! You're really cold because it's effing cold in here. No, it's not. No, I'm joking. It is very common that you get colder because the circulation changes and certain muscles they're let go more, and normally you would think that would allow the blood to course more freely and you would actually feel warmer, but sometimes it doesn't happen. It's like the muscles change and then it's like, like you just, more contraction. Yeah. Well, they've been activated. This is the wonderful thing about this work. It's not about relaxation and tension. We're always bothered, oh, I got to get rid of my tension by relaxing. Then you're just a yo-yo going between two extremes. You're in this constant flux, and you can never, the middle, which is functional, is through activation. And certain muscles did let go. Other muscles activated for the first time. And this is intelligence at work. This is the innate intelligence of the human movement system. You are a system. No, that's right, CIA approved. But it's actually, you are a verb. This is movement in action. It's because this is our nature, is to movement to be always happening. Even sitting is done dynamically, as we discovered last night. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is going to make the tango night really something. Yeah. Cool. Thank you all. We'll take a few minutes break and then we'll have our first masterclass.